Run by the PRCA in partnership with the Cannes Lions International Festival of Creativity, the Young Lions PR competition is designed to showcase outstanding young professionals from across the world. Winners of the respective competitions go on to represent their regions at Cannes Lions every year, and the competition showcases ideas and creativity from the world's best and brightest upcoming talent. The Hoffman Agency is proud that this year's Singapore competition was won by our very own Laura Naland and Vanessa Lee. I sat down with our two champions to talk about their experiences during the competition and what their advice to other aspiring young lions is. Let's just jump straight into the questions with our winning lions for this year. So, Vanessa, Laura, tell us a little bit about the Young Lions competition and what made you want to join.
Sure. So actually, I think I have to ask Van about this because she's the one who invited me to be her partner for the Singapore Young Lions. So Van, why did you choose me?
Yeah, I mean, it got brought to my attention that Young Lions Singapore was happening. And then I was like, hey, what's this about? Like, to be honest, I didn't even think about participating in competitions like this before. But I was like thinking, who would I want to partner with? It was again interesting that it's just like a two-man team that they needed. And I was like thinking, oh my god, I can't do this with anyone else except for Laura. So Laura and I go way back. We actually met in another agency before Hoffman. And since then, I think we didn't have like a lot of opportunities to work together. So we kind of like miss the synergies of working together, and we do have like a very strong chemistry and teamwork as well. So yeah, I reached out to Laura. I was like, hey, do you want to like participate in this with me? And then she was like, of course. And they were like, okay, let's go.
That sounds like so much fun. I mean, guys, talk us through the brief that you were given and maybe just a little bit of a breakdown on how you went about addressing it. I mean, just talk us through like the process, for other people that, in your shoes that might be interested in kind of doing this. Give us a little bit of an overview on how the process went for you and yeah, just what it was like taking the brief, what you guys thought about when you started addressing the creative. But yeah, just give us a little bit of an overview on that.
Right. So for the Singapore Young Lions, it actually mimics the Cannes Young Lions as closely as possible. So what happens is that teams are given 24 hours to basically do up a proposal for a client that no one knows who it is. All we knew was that it was going to be a non-profit organization. We had to submit 10 slides plus a 450-word summary. And then for the presentation, it will be like 5 minutes presentation. They were super strict with the timing, and 5-minute Q&A, very strict with the timing for the Q&A as well. So for this leg of the competition, our client was actually the Singapore Kindness Movement. And the brief was very unique because it actually asked us to encourage kindness in the online community, not, like physical settings. So I think when we received this brief, some of the questions we had to answer was number one, what is kindness even, right? Especially in that kind of virtual setting. Number two, what exactly do we want our audience to do? Are we trying to get them to change their mindset? Are we asking them to kind of target or, speak up against people who are unkind? So I think these were some of the key questions we had in trying to distill and break down our brief. And I think out of the 24 hours, most of our time was actually spent just deciding what exactly is the challenge that we wanted to tackle.
Yeah, and I mean, to sort of like add on, I think being at Hoffman has really equipped us with the skills in terms of really taking one step back after reading the brief, identifying what's the context, what's the insight, what are we getting inspired by. And I think a lot of that also came up from personal experiences. And it was very funny because on that day itself, Laura was queuing up for like a very popular Thai food place. And during the course of like her waiting, she actually saw a kindness act like in real life. So it also got us to think like things like, oh, why is it that people are more inclined to do, kindness acts online versus offline, where they don't feel as watched or they don't feel as like forced to do such kind acts. Yeah, so then the ball started rolling and we started like building off that.
Cool. I want to deep dive a little bit more on the process, guys, but just taking a step back for the viewers at home, because we talked about how the Singapore Young Lions kind of mirrors the Young Lions at Cannes. Can you guys give a little bit of an overview and kind of let's talk a little bit more about Cannes itself? Why was this exciting? Can you guys give everybody a little bit more of an overview on the competition itself? And also, what do winners get?
Yeah, sure. So actually, for those who may not be aware, though I think if you're in our industry, you would definitely be aware. The Cannes International Festival of Creativity is basically the the Oscars or the Grammys of our industry, right? So it typically happens every year in the summertime, so about June, July in Cannes, hence why it's called the Cannes Festival of Creativity. And I would say the Young Lions is definitely one of the top highlights of the competition, because what happens is that each nation can send like a representative, only one, hence why there was the Singapore leg before the international competition. And before COVID, I think it was really amazing because you have all these bright minds from all the different countries converging together in person in Cannes, and they basically lock you behind in a room and give you 24 hours to take part in like the international competition. But I think this year and ever since COVID, things have changed a little bit because of the COVID situation. So instead, they turned it into like a virtual contest. But what happens is that if you win, they will fly you down to Cannes, with like your hotel, I think your flight, your accommodation, all paid for. So I think that makes it pretty exciting.
Yeah, and I think at the festival itself, I mean, as you mentioned, Laura, it is really the Oscars or the Grammys of our industry. And there's so many amazing keynotes, there's so many amazing campaigns. There's just a huge amount to get inspired by. So a ticket to Cannes is an incredibly hot ticket. I've been in the industry forever, and I still haven't made my way to Cannes Lions yet, but it is on my list, on my bucket list, to kind of go down and check out the festival. But yeah, there's going to be lots of stuff for you guys to soak in when you do actually make it. Going back a little bit.
We can.
Yeah, well, hopefully can, fingers crossed. I mean, things are kind of opening up, so let's keep that dream alive. Going back to the entry, guys, I just want to go back to that a little bit, right? So what did you find in addressing the brief the trickiest part? And then, maybe talk us through what you guys think made your entry stand out to the judges.
I think Van can take this one.
Well, I think, like, as we were brainstorming, we did arrive at several insights, and it was down to a point where, okay, we only had 24 hours. We spent like probably the first few hours closing up our regular client work, so that was already gone. And then Laura and I had to, at a point, make a call to say, okay, I think this is the insight that we should move forward with and work on the proposal. And we were also struggling in between to think about, okay, what would make us stand out from our competitors? We didn't want to go with like a vanilla insight and come up with an idea that's easy. We kind of like wanted to take a more difficult way, something that challenged us in the process as well. But yeah, I think that to me was the most challenging part. I'm not sure if like it was different for Laura.
Yeah, I think definitely that was challenging. And also because basically in this kind of campaign, there's so many different things that you can do, right? So I think it was also kind of what risk were we willing to take in our final submission, right? So I think because entering it, we definitely entered it just because we wanted like an excuse to work together. But of course, once you're in it, then we kind of, felt like we had to put a strong entry, right? Because we know everyone in our agency was like, had high hopes for us. I remember I was talking to Ben about this, about
No
how
pressure.
Just because we all believe in you guys.
Yeah, so I think also, especially as time passed, we started to go a bit crazy because, we were like, oh my gosh, what idea can we have? But that's like one of the most fun things about the brief as well, right? So basically, I think our campaign, our entire insight was about how in the online space, people tend to be a bit trigger happy. So actually, maybe they're not being deliberately malicious. They're just like in the moment, they have some kind of impulse, and that's the way that, they will respond or the way they'll act. So if this was our insight, it's very clear, right? All we needed people to do was to pause, take a step back, take some time to think before you actually did whatever online action. So our entire campaign was all around the power of pause. And in expanding our idea, we had so many like funny ideas we threw up. There's one which I really love until today, though it did not make the cut, which was, maybe pause should stand for something. It should be an acronym for something. So I was thinking, okay, can we please ask yourself is with a U, sounds evil. So if it sounds evil, then you shouldn't type it, right? But as you can expect, it was like 10 or 11. So Van wasn't very entertained by it.
Well, so it's not easy to have a 10-slide format and a 5-minute presentation.
Yeah.
So like, how did you guys find condensing the ideas, and then how was it actually preparing for the pitch side of things?
I think it was a lot of decision making that we had to do, like what is the importance that we want to give like to different part of our proposals. But we felt like what we felt was the most important was actually the setup. So like the context, the insight, relaying our strategy. And we kind of like squeezed our entire campaign tactics into one slide, which maps out the consumer journey from awareness all the way to conversion. And as we actually spoke to like the jury after the competition, and they actually shared that how we framed the entire proposal was very neat, it was very clear, and yeah, we didn't actually need to spend too much time on the tactics. That wasn't where their focus was at. So thankfully our strategy kind of worked out for us as well. So but yeah, I mean 10 slides was really very, very tricky.
Yeah, but I think that's also where, our kind of training at Hoffman really helped us, because that's also the way we approach like new business decks or RFPs, right? I think the bulk of the time is always spent on, what exactly is the problem the client has, what is the strategy that we can offer, because, let's face it, all agencies can do the work, right? It's not really about the work, it's really about the thinking and the creative behind it. So I think that's really where we saw, our experience at Hoffman kind of pay off. I mean, at the time, we didn't know whether it will pay off, of course, but since the just gave good feedback, we did manage to be announced the gold winners. I think that's where we're like, oh, okay, seems like it works.
Oh yeah,
I know,
actually,
we were all so
also,
excited. I think that was like the news of the year so far. Really excited.
yeah, but I will also say that I think sometimes people tend to want to show off that, oh, we did our homework, and they spend like a lot of time pulling together, oh, we researched on this, we researched on that, and it takes up a lot of slides by the end of the day. And I guess some of us are guilty when it comes to new biz pitches as well. But we couldn't afford the slides to do that, so we like completely threw that away and just like landed at the main point straight away.
Yeah, being ruthless about the things you need to get across.
Exactly.
Okay, before we jump into, I guess, advice for other people that might be interested in joining the competition, any highlights, guys, or other memorable moments that, you take away from this experience that you might want to share?
I think some highlight, I guess, would be, just the fact that we got to work together again, Ben. I think that was very fun. And I think the really good thing was that, amazingly, the judges could feel our chemistry, because what happens is that before the international competition, which just happened last week, we were actually encouraged by PRCA to have a chat with all the jury members to get their feedback, right? So we can like kind of understand what we could do better, etc., and do better for the international round. So actually quite a few of the judges said that they could feel that we had the best chemistry, and it felt like we chose each other as partners, whereas for other groups, maybe they were kind of instructed by their agency, okay, you and you pair up, that kind of thing. So I think that was really where our chemistry paid off, because they said that our presentation was a lot more engaging. They could feel that we were like partners.
And I think that's also true for new business and even like client work, right? The chemistry is important.
Yeah.
You kind of want to work with a team that,
true.
A, gets along, B, is on the same creative wavelength. And clearly, I guess that showed to the judges.
Yeah, and actually for me, being apart from being able to work with Laura, I guess a lot of us who work in this industry have like a very difficult time explaining to our parents like what exactly do we on a daily basis. And after the PRCA article came out, I was super excited. I forwarded it to like my family chat, and they were all super happy. Like I think maybe they still don't understand to a certain extent like what I actually do, but just the idea of like getting to see your daughter's face on an article, being able to read about it, that made them like very happy and very proud. So that was like sort of a personal milestone for myself as well.
Amazing. Well, last question, guys. What advice would you give to other aspiring Young Lions participants? So maybe Laura, we can start with you.
Yeah, sure. I think the most important thing is to kind of it really goes back to like PR and us being the industry, right? Keep reading, whether it's news articles, keep up to date on trends, find out what's happening. Because, you know, for the Cannes Lion, whether it's the local competition or international competition, it will always be about something bigger than yourself, right? I think in agency, you know, we do work with a lot of very fun clients. But for example, Hoffman, we are like a tech specialist. So most of our clients are tech. Whereas for the festival and for the competition, our clients are more of like national associations, etc. For example, and so I think that's really where if you are up to date on trends and you know what's happening, that can really help you. So I think that would be one of my top advice.
Van?
Yeah. So my advice would be actually to embody a little bit of the fearless spirit. I think don't let competitions like that sort of like put you off or make you feel intimidated. I think some things are just worth trying. At the end of the day, it wasn't about winning. It was about the experience that we participated for in the first place. And yeah, winning was just like the cherry on top. But yeah, I would say just don't think too much, and just go experience, have fun.
Yeah, I think have fun. I was gonna say that would be my final comment as well. You know, just have fun with the experience, because it's not every day where, you know, you can just spend time to just brainstorm and think of ideas.
Yeah, and I think you get free reign on the creativity. So I think that's also one of the special things about it. Well, ladies, thank you so much for sharing your experiences. I hope for everybody who's watching at home, this is some great inspiration for future young lions. And I hope to see particularly other Hoffman young lions defending the title in years to come. So thanks so much for sharing, ladies, and all the best with the results of the upcoming international competition.
Yes, thanks so much.
Thanks, Alice.